For me, I think the thing that's so thrilling or fun or special about riding a motorcycle is because you can purchase a 50-year-old motorcycle for $200 that's a piece of junk and fix it and make it run and have kind of a bit of pride in taking something that was thought to be garbage and then go for a ride on it and use it to get groceries and drive to work and go visit your family and just travel kind of all over the place, because it's a necessity in a lot of ways to have a vehicle. But to have your vehicle be something that you feel that connected to is a lot like the process of printing and maintaining these presses. I feel so close to these presses because of the care and knowledge that it's taken for me to make them work. And I also think that because I've been working on motorcycles longer than I've been working on printing presses, the confidence that I've gained from, rehoning a cylinder on a motorcycle and understanding those tolerances is something that is similar to caring for, a printing press. There's a lot of things there that have kind of translated over and made for a really rewarding experience. In talking about the workflow related to letterpress, it's really wonderful because there's all these limitations. When you're dealing with digital medium, oftentimes the sky's the limit, right? You have 1,000 fonts to choose from in your font library and even more to download. You have infinite workspace on your artboards. You can just do so much. But when you're working in a space like this, there are the limitations of how big you can print because of how big the press bed is, what type you own and how to utilize that type, how large that type is. You can't simply change the proportions or make something fit in the way that you can when you're working in a digital space. And because of that, it really forces you to be creative. So the process of selecting type is so different than what I think the majority of us are used to now, which is clicking on a drop-down menu and picking your Verdana or your Times New Roman or your Bodoni or whatever typeface that you want to use. In this shop, we actually have cases. And just like a little fun side note, a type case, when you think uppercase and lowercase, the uppercase is where you put all the uppercase letters and the lowercase is where you put all the lowercase letters. The cases that we're going to be pulling from in here are called California job cases, which is a type of job case that has the uppercase and the lowercase all in the same case together. But what you do in a type shop is you essentially walk around and you look at the types. So there's no drop-down menu, but hopefully you have some nice labeling in your shop. You pull out your cases and you hand select each letter. So if you need an L, you pick an L, and if you run out of L's, you're in trouble because you don't have any more. The poster that we're going to produce for Journey, Indiana, I'm going to draw it digitally and play with my iPad essentially in producing it, and then we'll output it by cutting into what is just Luan wood, which is a cheap wood that you can get at your local hardware store. Really, really inexpensive. So we're gonna laser cut out this block. From there, we will use a double-sided tape to mount it to a piece of MDF, which is just a subflooring material. And luckily enough, that 3/4 inch MDF with 1/4 inch Luan is actually just below an inch. So it comes very, very close to being exactly type high. So then we take that over to the printing press and we run our sheet of paper through the press, and that block itself is collecting ink as the press is running, and then it is pushing the paper against the actual block and creating an image from it. So everything in the cutting has to be flipped, so everything is carved in reverse. Then we're going to include the majority or some of the type at the bottom by using handset metal and wood type. So in the negative space that we've created for it, we're going to take each individual letter and set it into what's called a job stick, measure everything out, and pull our prints. And most likely the first time we pull it through the press, things are going to be a little bit off. Every once in a while I get, we'll say lucky, or the 15 years I've spent printing just kind of pay off and things line up beautifully, but more often than not, we have to adjust back and forth or adjust for the kind of letter spacing, the tracking and the kerning of the letters by using small pieces of lead or wood to space out those letter forms. So we'll get all that set in the press bed. Each time we want to print a different color, we have to clean the press and put new ink on the press that's a different color, meaning every single color you see in this print is a result of a different pass through the press or two colors overlapping to make a third color. So we use a little bit of our basic color theory when we're teaching this stuff as well. I think one thing that's like really important to acknowledge related to letterpress printing is that although this isn't a giant industry anymore, it is a way in which people are still making their livings. And I think that I would encourage anybody who's interested in this medium to go seek out those artists in their communities and those artists when they travel and to support them. It's not just a piece of history and a great teaching tool, it's actually still a way to have a viable and interesting and meaningful career as an artist.